Okay, these are your notes for volume of prisms. This is actually using the same formula that we use for volume of cylinders. They're on the same line on your formula chart, the first one under volume. So at the top, go ahead and write the formula that your chart gives you. Volume equals big B, little h. So point to this. By now, I hope you know this stands for area of the base. So whenever we were working with cylinders, the base was always a circle, because you know on cylinders there's two congruent circles. On this page we're still using this same formula, area of the base times the height, but none of these will have a base of a circle, so we will not be revising it for pi r squared. We're going to be inputting something different in the place of the b. Okay, so first, whenever you're working with volume of prisms, you want to identify what the base is, or what type of prism it is. So on the first one, since on every single side there's a rectangle all the way around the sides and the top and bottom, I know this is a rectangular prism. Okay, so whenever a prism is named, it's named by its bases. So I know that I will be using, for area of the base, I'll be getting the area of a rectangle. Okay, so since it's a prism and I want to find the volume, I grab this formula from my chart. I have to identify that the base in this case is going to be a rectangle. Technically, I could use any of the rectangles to be the base. I'm going to use this front one because it's easy to see what its length and width are. Okay, so I'm going to revise the formula and I'm going to give it a different formula to get the area of the base for a rectangle is length times width. And then I just have to bring down that height. Okay, now rectangular prisms are the easiest type that you can get the volume of. For prisms anyways, because basically you're just going to be grabbing these three numbers and you're going to be multiplying them. Okay, so length times my width number times my height. Since I did not choose the rectangle that was on the actual bottom, my height this time is going this way. Like if I pretended like it was sitting on this shaded rectangle, then the height would go up 30 meters into the air. Okay, so for a rectangular prism and you're getting the volume, you're multiplying all three numbers. This is going to turn out to be a whole number. I'm going to let you punch it in your calculator and get the answer, so fill it in here. Now, since it's volume, I need to grab the label that they had and put cubed, because volume is 3 dimensions. It is filling up the inside of this shape, so it has a length, a width, and a height. That's why we use a 3. Okay, so you get that answer. To write that for the people that aren't listening. Okay, move on. This first, I'm going to identify what type of prism that it is. So I know it has rectangles, but it also has a triangle here on the front and a matching triangle that I can't see on the back. So the one that it has two congruent shapes of would be the base. So this is a triangular prism. Okay, so this one right here is the one that I'm going to use whenever I need to get the area of the base. Okay, so I start with the formula from my chart for volume of a prism, big B, little h. So I have to tell it, okay, whenever I'm ready to get area of the base, I'm getting the area of a triangle. Your chart says 1/2 little b for base times height. Then I got to bring down to get the height of the prism. So this is kind of weird. We got height of the triangle, that flat piece on the front, and then actual height of the prism. So if it was sitting on this triangle, how far would the prism go up into the air? Okay, now you're ready to substitute. Keep the 1/2. Okay, this first part right here was for area of the base. So this is talking about base of the triangle. So if I'm just looking at the flat piece on the front, the base of the triangle is 12. I have to multiply it by the height of the triangle. Remember how the base and the height have to form the right angle, and they're showing me that there. Okay, so this would get me the area of the triangle. Now I have to multiply it by the height of the prism. So if this triangular prism was kind of turned, flipped up, and it was sitting on the triangle, this would be its height. So I had to multiply it by 13. Okay, this still looks like it's going to work out to be a whole number, so you don't have to worry about rounding. Put your units at the back. You fill in this answer. 1/2 times 12 times 11 times 13. Okay, the next shape looks a little bit different, but it still has two congruent triangles. One I can see on the front, a right triangle, which we just worked with a lot for Pythagorean theorem. There's a matching right triangle on the back that I can't see. And then around the sides, there are 3 rectangles. I just see this one right now, but I know there's one back here and there's one sitting on the floor. Okay, so this is a triangular prism. So I'm finding the volume of a prism. My formula chart only tells me this much. So it's my job to know big B is area of the base. I am using this right triangle because it's a triangular prism. So that is going to be its base. I have to tell it how to get the area of this triangle, and then I will multiply it by the height of the prism. So again, I'd have to pretend it was the triangle was sitting on the floor to easily see the height. Okay, so I have to substitute a formula to get area of a triangle. My chart tells me that's 1/2 base times height. Since I want volume, I have to bring down this one that stood for the height of the prism. Okay, I'm ready to fill in numbers. I keep my fraction. Base on the triangle is 30. Height of the triangle is 20. Base and height form the right angle. Now if it was sitting on this triangle, it would go up. The prism is 14 centimeters for the height. Again, you're going to get a whole number answer. And on the back, centimeters cubed. So you get this answer. Alright, last one for volume of prisms. Oh, I need to identify what type of prism that it is. So, you know prisms have rectangles always. So I'm looking at the shape that's not a rectangle to help me define it. Okay, so this shape has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you remember the name of a 6-sided shape? It is a hexagon. So this is a hexagonal prism. Okay, so I want the volume of this hexagonal prism. Your formula chart does not have a formula for area of a hexagon. But good news, they've already found the area of this base for me, 42 centimeters squared. So I don't actually have to revise this to tell it how to get the area of a hexagon because it's given. So they've made my life a little bit easier. I just had to replace this big B right here with this area that they're giving me. And then I have to imagine if it was sitting on this base, how high would this prism go up into the air? Okay, so it connects it to that back hexagon with this height number, which is a 12. Okay, so the last thing you have to do is punch this in. Volume, so we got centimeters here, still cubed on there. So don't leave these blank. You want to use your calculator to multiply right there. Then you can check with your neighbors to make sure that y'all all are getting the same thing. If you're not, you need to figure out what's different and how to fix it. Okay, this one's going to go in the notes part of your binder.